What should we make for the New Year's feast? It's that time of year again. I'm mused. I'm Sherry, a 31-year-old professional. Most of my female colleagues have left the company for marriage or childbirth, leaving just one single woman and one married woman besides me. With new young employees constantly joining, the three of us joke about already being the senior ladies here. I've reached a supervisory role, but advancing further seems tough. Still, I'm content, working for a stable company, earning a decent salary, and enjoying time with my colleagues. My husband, Kevin, is 2 years younger than me and is climbing the corporate ladder smoothly, well regarded by his bosses. Both of us work full-time, and since we don't have kids yet, we live a comfortable life. We're usually frugal, except for special occasions like vacations or birthdays. Neither of us is into brand name stuff, and we don't have many material desires, preparing for the possibility of having a child and enjoying life together. If we don't have children, we'll save money and live happily regardless. As soon as Halloween ended and the city transitioned to Christmas decorations, I started thinking about the new year. Every year, Kevin and I prepare a New Year's feast and drinks to bring to my in-laws. Somehow, this has become the norm. The first New Year's after we got married, my mother-in-law asked me to pick up a ham she had ordered. It turned out she hadn't paid for it yet. I brought her the ham, but she didn't mention the money. I assumed she would settle up later, but that never happened. When my husband casually asked her about it, she said she was busy and would handle it later. Then, when my husband wasn't around, she remarked, "You can at least pay for the ham, right? After all, we are the ones preparing for New Year's here." I wouldn't have minded paying, but the way she said it without even a thank you was irritating. We had already bought drinks and snacks as she had requested, and even brought New Year's gifts. It's an hour away by car, so I can't stay overnight. I wondered what preparations were actually needed. If she had said she was making a homemade feast, I would have been impressed, but she had just bought everything from the store, and there were no New Year's decorations. I convinced myself that hosting is hard work and decided to let it go. The following year, my mother-in-law asked us to bring not just drinks and snacks, but also the entire New Year's feast. We complied, thinking it was only a few times a year that we visited my husband's parents. When we arrived, his sister and her husband were there too. They ate so much that it was no wonder they were that size. The feast disappeared in no time, and I barely got any. "Next time bring more, we are here for 3 days. This isn't enough," my mother-in-law said. "Oh, this seems a bit scant, don't you think? Make sure to bring more next time," my sister-in-law added. I gave a non-committal nod, overwhelmed by their energy. My husband gave me an apologetic look. You see, my sister-in-law and her husband never bring gifts when they visit, not even for New Year's. They gulp down drinks like water, never even bringing a can of beer, and don't give anything to our parents or us. On the contrary, I always prepare New Year's gifts for my in-laws and my sister-in-law's family. According to my husband, his mom has always spoiled my sister-in-law, taking her everywhere and buying her anything she wanted. Maybe that's why they think they don't need to bring anything. I'm also surprised at how nonchalant my brother-in-law can be about it. They relax without bringing a gift, indulge in the food and drinks we prepared, and don't offer to help clean up. I couldn't imagine being so inconsiderate, and my husband would certainly offer to help if we were at my parents' house. "Just relax and sit," my mom would say. But I appreciate my husband's willingness when he asks, "Is there anything I can do?" Last New Year's, we received a shipment of crabs from relatives in Alaska. Knowing there was too much for just us, we brought some to my in-laws, where it became an instant hit. "You've really outdone yourself, sis. This crab is amazing," exclaimed my sister-in-law, ecstatic, anticipating they would devour most of it. I brought the crabs still in their shells. Peeling crabs is a skill I've honed since childhood. My relatives used to send them to my parents. As we gathered around the dinner table, I swiftly peeled crabs for my husband and myself. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law's family, less accustomed to the task, struggled to keep pace. Eventually, my mother-in-law urged my father-in-law to speed up his peeling, and my sister-in-law reached over to our plates. "You're so good at this. Could you put some on my plate next?" she asked. Without protest, I became the designated crab peeler for my sister-in-law and her husband, even when my husband remarked, "You're not children. Peel your own." They paid no mind. To make matters worse, not a single thank you was uttered. Later, as if they truly enjoyed it, they even mentioned, "Can't wait for more crab next year." Yet, according to my mom, this season's catch wasn't good. For this year's New Year's feast, I had a particular idea in mind. Hey, what do you think? I showed my husband a catalog. A restaurant in Minnesota had teamed up with a department store to offer New Year's meals for the first time. Thanks for always taking the lead on this, but my folks might not fancy it. Let's aim for something more budget-friendly. This seems a bit pricey, he suggested. I understood his point, yet I didn't want to settle for something merely abundant but lacking in flavor. You never know what snide comments might arise, and I wanted my reserved father-in-law and kind-hearted husband to enjoy a delicious meal. Despite my frustrations with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, it was New Year's, after all. If it resulted in a good time, then all the better. That sentiment lingered as I shared some good news with Kevin. The Minnesota restaurant preparing this New Year's feast was where a friend Mary had tied the knot. Remember her wedding? I asked him. Ah, Sherry's best friend from high school. She came all the way from Minnesota. Yeah, I'd love to visit her restaurant someday. So this department store has been trying to get me on board for 2 years to supply them with New Year's dishes. Turns out they're a bit anxious, so they're offering a 30% discount to family. Oh, really? So we're included in that deal? Yes, she said it's a special offer, and it's not just about the discount. They're also looking for feedback, so we'll fill out a survey afterward. Got it. Well, let's make the most of it for this new year. And then came New Year's Day. The feast, drinks, and snacks were all packed and ready to go. The takeout boxes for the feast were nearly double the usual size, thanks to Mary, who mentioned they offered extra large ones. The whole package weighed almost 13 pounds, requiring careful handling to load into the car. Remembering last year's traffic jam, we opted to leave early. The roads were clear, and we arrived sooner than expected. As we rang the doorbell, my father-in-law greeted us warmly. We exchanged New Year's wishes and stepped inside, but my mother-in-law was conspicuously absent. She might still be sleeping, my father-in-law apologized. I called her, but she hasn't come down. Is she not feeling well? I inquired. No, it's not that. It wasn't the crack of dawn. But here we were, all set to celebrate New Year's, and she was still asleep after asking us to prepare everything. I couldn't help but feel irritated. Exchanging frustrated glances, we sighed, realizing that complaining wouldn't change anything. I took over making coffee for my father-in-law. I knelt in the spot where everything had been, a routine my mother-in-law always requested of me. My sister-in-law likely had no clue about this tradition. Unlike my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, my father-in-law exuded calmness. Conversations with him were always reassuring. My husband, gentle and comforting like his father, seemed to take after him. They even shared a striking resemblance in their smiles. As we sipped tea with my husband and father-in-law, a rare sense of ease settled over me at my in-laws' home. That moment, I decided to let my father-in-law, who seldom received proper appreciation, enjoy the New Year's feast. I began unpacking the oversized take-up boxes, and my husband quickly fetched plates. This spread looks extravagant this year, Sherry. I'm sorry you're always the one doing all the work, my father-in-law remarked. Don't worry about it, father-in-law. This is a special New Year's feast from a restaurant in Minnesota, I replied. Wow, that sounds wonderful. With all this food, I'll have to give you a proper thank you this year, he said appreciatively. Both my husband and I exchanged bewildered glances. My father-in-law mirrored our confusion with a puzzled expression. About 10 minutes later, "Oh, Kevin, you're already here." Heavy footsteps echoed on the stairs as my mother-in-law emerged, appearing larger than when we last saw her during the summer. We were in the midst of exchanging New Year's greetings when we heard a car pull up outside. It seemed my sister-in-law and her family had arrived. "Mom, we're here." My stepsister burst through the front door with excitement. "Happy New Year." I greeted her warmly, but she skipped the pleasantries and eagerly asked, "Hey, did you bring it this year too?" Her eyes sparkled with anticipation. I bit my tongue, holding back my thoughts, and redirected my focus to the New Year's feast. This year I ordered some special New Year's dishes like Willy Bird turkey from Minnesota, I announced. Immediately, both my mother-in-law and stepsister expressed disappointment, chiming in with a disapproving, "What? No crab? It's New Year's. There should be traditional dishes like crab or oysters." I was taken aback by their reaction. I had gone to great lengths to prepare this feast, and not a single word of thanks was uttered. I had carefully selected quality dishes, even opting for larger portions knowing how much they eat. My patience was wearing thin. Remembering my earlier conversation with my father-in-law, I was about to respond when my sister-in-law casually sat down and started eating from the plate I had set aside for him. "Well, I'll taste test it for now," she remarked. Her husband joining her. Was basic etiquette a foreign concept to these people? "Let's dig in. It looks delicious," my mother-in-law joined in eagerly. "This roast turkey is amazing. And look at the size of that lobster. Not bad at all," she added as they quickly devoured the food. "Dad, Sherry, let's eat too," my husband suggested, sensing my tension. I took a deep breath and decided to stay calm. My father-in-law hadn't started eating yet, and I wanted him to enjoy the meal before it disappeared. I also looked forward to sharing our impressions with our close friend Mary. Just as I reached for the roast turkey, my stepsister swooped in and snatched it away. "Hey!" I exclaimed, frustrated. I had reminded her countless times not to take other people's food, but it seemed she never learned. "Well, I don't think so." "Are you hungry too, sister-in-law? But I'm definitely not sharing this turkey. You broke your promise to bring crab, so it's only fair," I remarked firmly, feeling a sudden resolve. My mother-in-law chuckled along, oblivious to the tension building. Snap! Something inside me shattered. "Really? Is that how it is? Enough." I decided then and there that I wouldn't cater to these people anymore. Just as I was about to act, my husband's voice cut through the air, rare in its intensity. "Enough is enough." Startled by his firm tone, my sister-in-law hesitated momentarily. "Let's go, Sherry," he continued, beginning to pack up the oversized take-up boxes. He methodically transferred the food from the large serving plates back into their original containers, and I quietly followed suit. "Well, what's going on? What are you two doing?" My sister-in-law and mother-in-law began to panic, but it was too late. As I closed the lids of the take-up boxes and placed them in a bag, my husband started gathering the drinks and snacks he had brought. We hadn't planned this, but our teamwork was seamless. All that remained was to load everything into the car. Turning around with a smile, I calmly stated, "Well, we're heading back to our parents' house. We won't be spending holidays or New Year here anymore." "What?" My mother-in-law and sister-in-law were taken aback. "That's how it is, Dad. I'll keep in touch." My father-in-law nodded silently. As we prepared to leave with our belongings, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law protested. "Oh, wait. Why are you taking everything? You can leave if you want, but leave the food." "Sherry, is this how you treat your husband's family? Kevin is so kind-hearted. He would never do something like this." "What have you been telling him?" They were being hypocritical, and I couldn't let it go unaddressed. I looked directly at my mother-in-law. "Mother-in-law, as I mentioned earlier, this year's New Year's feast was ordered from a restaurant in Minnesota." "So what? Don't you care about the cost?" "Why should I? You guys bought it, so it's none of my business," I retorted firmly. "Then where did the money that my father-in-law provided go?" I pressed, sensing a shift in the atmosphere. "What?" my mother-in-law gasped, her hand instinctively covering her mouth. It dawned on me that every year my father-in-law had been offering money for the meals we brought, yet we never accepted it. Where had that money gone? My mother-in-law's expression paled, realizing she had been caught in her deceitful act. "What are you talking about?" she stammered, attempting to deflect. "Are you still going to pretend you don't know?" We were utterly shocked when my father-in-law told us, I exclaimed, frustration clear in my voice. My father-in-law looked equally stunned. It was only when he noticed our confusion that he realized we had never received any money from him. He had allowed his wife and daughter to mistreat us, thinking he was covering the expenses. Despite us bringing the food, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law had arrogantly consumed it, assuming it was paid for by him. "What's happening? I've been giving you both extra money every year, even for transportation, haven't I?" My normally mild-mannered father-in-law's voice rose in disbelief. "Oh, well, you see," my mother-in-law faltered, her eyes shifting nervously. "Do you understand how much effort it takes to select and bring the food every time?" "Just moments ago, you were still asleep," I pointed out sharply. "Well, she stammered, clearly caught off guard. "Every New Year's, we strive to please everyone. It's not merely about the money. What truly stings is the absence of gratitude," I continued, my frustration mounting. "Oh, my mother-in-law muttered, and my sister-in-law looked visibly uneasy beside her. My suspicions grew stronger. "You were aware of the money Dad set aside, weren't you? In fact, you've been using it for your own purposes." Ah, I had struck a nerve. Considering how much my mother-in-law favored her, it seemed entirely plausible. What are you talking about? No, it's Mom. My sister-in-law protested, clearly flustered under my father-in-law's stern gaze. It was clear there was nothing more to discuss here. Let's go, Sherry, my husband urged. Okay, goodbye, I replied tersely. We packed our belongings into the car and drove away without a second glance back. Wait, what about New Year's? We could bring over some roast turkey for you. I thought I heard the voice call out from behind, but I didn't turn back. At this point, suggesting sharing was utterly clueless. My husband's timing was impeccable, and I burst out laughing. From then on, we had a fantastic New Year's celebration at my parents' house. We savored a feast from the restaurant where my best friend Mary works. My mom even offered her critiques of each dish, prompting me to take detailed notes. As I compiled them, it almost felt like creating a formal review. We included these notes with the survey we received and were pleasantly surprised by an unexpected gift. Mary's family appreciated our thorough feedback and found our diverse tastes intriguing. They even extended an invitation to their renowned restaurant in Minnesota. While the invitation was lovely, what touched me most was seeing how cherished Mary is in her new home. It warmed my heart to know my best friend is thriving and happy. Regarding Kevin's family, it turned out my mother-in-law had been pocketing the money my father-in-law intended for us. She falsely claimed she had given it to us while she and my sister-in-law indulged in extravagant lunches at upscale hotels. Most of the funds were squandered on lavish meals. To make matters worse, more of my mother-in-law's financial dishonesty came to light, enraging my usually gentle father-in-law. She had underestimated him, assuming he wouldn't take issue with it. Now, she is facing the prospect of divorce. I was taken aback by this revelation about my typically calm and kind father-in-law. Perhaps it was his very nature that led him to be unforgiving about withholding money from his son and daughter-in-law. Basic courtesies like expressing gratitude and offering apologies were absent in my mother-in-law and sister-in-law's behavior. If only they had greeted us with a smile and a simple thank you. In hindsight, if we could have all enjoyed the meal together, the money wouldn't have been an issue. Despite their modest income, my sister-in-law and her husband had been living beyond their means, relying on my father-in-law's financial support. Now, he's made it clear he won't give them another cent. As my husband recounted all this, he asked me, "Hey, I still want to maintain a good relationship with Dad. Is that okay with you, Sherry?" "Absolutely," I replied without hesitation. It's a shame we couldn't share our New Year's feast with him. Oh, since we received that invitation, how about we bring him along when we visit the restaurant? Great idea. He'd enjoy that. He's a big ice hockey fan, so Minnesota would be perfect for him. It's hard to believe, but watching sports is one of his hobbies. Really? My dad loves ice hockey too. Our conversation continued effortlessly. I started thinking about how our fathers might get along just as well. Why not invite my parents along and plan a trip to Minnesota with everyone? The idea filled me with joy.